You were not created to play small. You were created to influence. And it's time to step into it. Let me ask you something. How many times have you had an idea, a good idea, and stayed silent? How many times have you felt called to lead, to speak, to step up, and talked yourself out of it? Who am I to do that? I'm not qualified. People won't listen to me. I don't want to seem like I'm doing too much. And so you stayed quiet. You stayed small. You stayed safe. But here's the truth. God didn't create you to be safe. He created you to be influential. You were designed to lead, to impact, to change the world around you. Not because you're perfect. Not because you have it all figured out. But because God placed a purpose inside you that the world needs. Today, I'm going to show you exactly what it means to be a woman of influence. I'm going to give you biblical examples. Esther, Deborah, Ruth, Mary, and more women who changed history. I'm going to give you modern examples, women today who are walking in influence. And I'm going to give you a framework, practical steps you can take right now to step into the influence God has called you to. This is for every woman, young or old, single or married, working or stay at home, in ministry or in business. If you've been playing small, if you've been hiding your voice, if you've been waiting for permission, this message is for you. Let's dive in. Before we go any further, we need to define what influence actually is. Because most people misunderstand it. Influence is not power. Influence is not about control. It's not about authority. It's not about being the loudest person in the room. Influence is the ability to impact people, systems, and culture for the better. It's about using your voice, your gifts, your position, whatever God has given you, to make a difference. Influence is not about perfection. You don't have to be perfect to be influential. Every single woman in the Bible who influenced the world was flawed. Esther was scared. Deborah was a woman in a male-dominated world. Ruth was a foreigner with nothing. Mary was a teenage girl. But they all had one thing in common. They were willing. And they moved. Influence is about purpose. Influence is not about you. It's about the purpose God placed inside you. It's about the people you're called to serve. The problems you're called to solve. The change you're called to create. And here's what you need to understand. You don't need a platform to be influential. You don't need a title. You don't need permission. You just need to be obedient to what God is calling you to do. Now let's look at some of the most powerful women in the Bible, and what we can learn from them. Example 1, Esther, the woman who saved a nation. Esther was a Jewish girl living in exile. An orphan. A nobody. But through a series of divine appointments, she became queen of Persia. And when her people were about to be destroyed, her cousin Mordecai came to her and said, "And who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this?" Esther 4 verse 14. Esther was terrified. Going to the king uninvited could get her killed. But she made a choice. She said, "If I perish, I perish." Esther 4 verse 16. And she stepped up. She used her position. She used her voice. She influenced the king. And she saved her entire nation. Lesson: you were positioned where you are for a reason. Don't waste it. Use your influence, even when it's scary. Example 2, Deborah, the woman who led an army. Deborah was a prophet and a judge in Israel. Judges 4-5. In a time when women had no leadership authority, she was leading an entire nation. And when the Israelites were being oppressed, God gave her the battle plan. She called Barak, the military commander, and said, "God commands you to go to battle." And Barak, a grown man, a soldier, said, "If you go with me, I will go, but if you don't go with me, I won't go." Judges 4 verse 8. He wouldn't go into battle without her, because he needed her leadership. And Deborah didn't shrink back. She didn't say, "Oh, I'm just a woman, I shouldn't lead." She went. She led. And they won. Lesson: don't apologize for your leadership. If God called you to lead, lead. Even if it makes people uncomfortable. Example 3, Ruth, the woman who rewrote her story. Ruth was a widow. A foreigner. A Moabite woman in Israel, which meant she was an outsider. She had nothing. No husband. No money. No status. But she had loyalty. She had courage. And she had faith. She stayed with her mother-in-law Naomi. She worked in the fields. She showed up every day. And because of her character and her work ethic, she caught the attention of Boaz, a wealthy landowner. And he married her. And she became part of the lineage of Jesus. Ruth 1-4. Lesson: your background doesn't disqualify you. Your influence comes from your character and your faithfulness. Example 4, Mary, the woman who said yes. Mary was a teenage girl. Poor. Unknown. Living in a small town. And an angel appeared to her and said, "You will give birth to the Son of God." Luke 1:26-38. And Mary could have said no. She could have been scared. She could have worried about what people would think. But instead she said, "I am the Lord's servant. May your word to me be fulfilled." Luke 1:38. She said yes. And she became the mother of Jesus. Lesson: your yes matters. Even when you don't feel qualified. Even when it's scary. Say yes to what God is calling you to. Example 5, the Proverbs 31 woman, the woman who did it all. The Proverbs 31 woman is often misunderstood. People think she's an impossible standard. But look at what she actually did. She ran a business. Proverbs 31 verses 16 and 24, she provided for her family. Proverbs 31 verses 15 and 21, she spoke with wisdom. Proverbs 31 verse 26, she was strong and dignified. Proverbs 31 verse 25, she wasn't sitting quietly in the background. She was a woman of influence. Lesson: you can be strong and graceful. You can lead and serve. You don't have to choose. Example 6, Lydia, the businesswoman. Lydia was a dealer in purple cloth, a successful businesswoman. Acts 16 verses 14-15. She was the first European convert to Christianity. And she opened her home to Paul and his team. She used her business, her resources, and her home to advance the gospel. Lesson: your work matters. Your business matters. Use what you have to make an impact. Example 7, Phoebe, the deacon and deliverer. Paul called Phoebe a deacon and a benefactor. Romans 16 verses 1-2. She carried Paul's letter to the Romans, one of the most important letters in the entire Bible. She was trusted. She was influential. She was a leader in the early church. Lesson: you don't need a title to lead. You just need to be faithful and trustworthy. Example 7, Phoebe, the deacon and deliverer. Paul called Phoebe a deacon and a benefactor. Romans 16 verses 1-2. She carried Paul's letter to the Romans, one of the most important letters in the entire Bible. She was trusted. She was influential. She was a leader in the early church. Lesson: you don't need a title to lead. You just need to be faithful and trustworthy. Now let's bring this into the present. Because influence isn't just a biblical concept. It's current. Example 1, Michelle Obama. Michelle Obama, lawyer, author, former First Lady. She used her platform to advocate for education, health, and girls' empowerment worldwide. She didn't just stand beside her husband. She created her own legacy. Lesson: use your platform, whatever size it is, to advocate for what matters. Example 2, Oprah Winfrey. Oprah built an empire. Not just in media, but in influence. She's used her voice to elevate voices that were ignored, to tell stories that needed to be told. And she's done it with grace, integrity, and purpose. Lesson: your voice has power. Use it to elevate others. Example 3, Priscilla Shirer. Priscilla Shirer, Bible teacher, author, speaker. She's teaching millions of women how to study the Word, walk in faith, and live with purpose. She's not a pastor. She's not in charge of a church. But her influence is undeniable. Lesson: you don't need a position to teach. You just need to be faithful to what God has called you to. Example 4, Joyce Meyer. Joyce Meyer, author, speaker, founder of Joyce Meyer Ministries. She overcame abuse, trauma, and a broken past, and built one of the largest Christian ministries in the world. She uses her story to bring healing to millions. Lesson: your story is your influence. Don't hide it. Share it. Example 5, the everyday woman. Teachers, mothers, entrepreneurs. But influence isn't just for the famous women. Think about the teacher who pours into her students every day. The mother who raises her children to love God and change the world. The entrepreneur who builds a business that serves her community. The mentor who invests in younger women. These women may never be on a stage, but their influence is eternal. Lesson: you don't need a platform. You just need to be faithful where God has placed you. Alright. Now let's get into the how. Because knowing you're called to influence is one thing. Actually stepping into it is another. Here's your framework. Step 1. Know who you are. You can't influence others if you don't know who you are. Spend time with God. Discover your gifts. Understand your calling. Psalm 139 verse 14. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. You were created on purpose, for a purpose. Step 2. Use your voice, without apologizing. Stop saying, I'm sorry when you're not sorry. Stop shrinking yourself to make others comfortable. If God gave you a voice, use it. Proverbs 31 verse 26. She speaks with wisdom, and faithful instruction is on her tongue. Speak with confidence. Speak with wisdom. But speak. Step 3. Balance strength with grace. You don't have to choose between being strong and being kind. You can be both. 1 Peter 3 verses 3 to 4. Your beauty should not come from outward adornment. Rather, it should be that of your inner self, the unfading beauty of a gentle and quiet spirit. A quiet spirit doesn't mean a silent spirit. It means a peaceful spirit. You can lead with strength and still have grace. Step 4. Overcome imposter syndrome. Who am I to do this? You're someone God called. That's enough. Esther 4 verse 14. And who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this? You didn't get here by accident. God positioned you. Now step up. Step 5. Lead from where you are. You don't have to be in charge to lead. You can lead in your home, in your workplace, in your community, in your church. Leadership is influence. And influence happens wherever you are. Step 6. Invest in other women. Titus 2 verses 3 to 5. Older women are called to teach younger women. But this isn't just about AG. It's about maturity. If you're ahead of someone, even by one step, reach back and pull them up. Mentor. Encourage. Invest. Your influence multiplies when you pour into others. Step 7. Don't compete, collaborate. There is no competition in the kingdom. Another woman's success does not diminish yours. Celebrate her. Partner with her. Lift her up. When women unite, we are unstoppable. Step 8. Stay rooted in God. Influence without God is just ego. Stay humble. Stay prayerful. Stay rooted. John 15 verse 5. I am the vine, you are the branches. If you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. Apart from me you can do nothing. Your influence flows from your relationship with God. Stay connected. Now let's address the lies that keep women from stepping into influence. Lie number 1. I'm too much. No, you're not. You're exactly who God created you to be. If people are uncomfortable with your voice, your presence, your strength, that's their issue, not yours. Don't dim your light to make others comfortable. Lie number 2. I'm not qualified. Moses wasn't qualified. David wasn't qualified. Esther wasn't qualified. But they were willing. God doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the called. Lie number 3. I'm just a underscore 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 underscore. I'm just a mom. I'm just a teacher. I'm just a underscore 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 underscore. Stop saying just. You're not just anything. You're a woman of God with a purpose. Own it. Let me leave you with this. You were not created to play small. You were created to influence, to lead, to teach, to inspire, to change the world around you. Esther saved a nation. Deborah led an army. Ruth rewrote her story. Mary said yes to the impossible. And you? You have the same God, the same Spirit, the same calling. So stop waiting for permission. Stop doubting yourself. Stop playing it safe. Step into the influence God has called you to. Use your voice. Lead with strength. Serve with grace. The world is waiting for you. If this message empowered you, share it. Send it to a woman who needs to hear this. A daughter. A friend. A sister. One share could change her entire life. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe. Because I'm going to keep bringing you messages that empower you, challenge you, and help you walk in the fullness of what God called you to. Now go. Step into your influence. And change the world. Welcome to Daily Beyond the Edge, your daily dose of motivation and timeless wisdom. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a breakthrough. What's one limit you're pushing past today? Drop it in the comments. See you tomorrow. Rise beyond the ordinary.